Stop! These coins could be hidden treasure. Do not spend them. Check now. Right now, there are ordinary-looking coins hiding in drawers, car consoles, old jars, and even your pocket that could be worth far more than their face value. Nobody talks about these silent fortunes, yet collectors are fighting to get their hands on them. Real auction shock is happening behind the scenes, and the coins in this video could change everything. Each coin gets rarer, more mysterious, and more valuable than the last, so stay with me until the end, because the final discovery could make you look at your spare change in a completely different way. Coin number 1. Most people would throw this coin away without a second thought. In fact, some people see it and assume it is damaged, dirty, ugly, or simply worn out. That assumption has quietly cost Australians serious money. The Australia 5-cent 2008 coin with unusual black spotting has become one of those strange collector stories that almost sounds unbelievable at first. A coin worth only a few cents can suddenly become the center of intense attention among collectors who know exactly what they are looking for. This is not fiction. This is hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. And if you have ever emptied your pockets onto a table without checking every coin carefully, there is a chance you may have already spent one of these without knowing it. That is exactly why this coin is so dangerous to ignore. The story becomes even more interesting when you look at what was happening in Australia during 2008. It was a year filled with economic uncertainty around the world. Financial markets were under pressure, confidence was shaken, and many people were paying far more attention to everyday spending than they had before. Coins were moving rapidly through circulation as Australians used cash for daily purchases. Under those conditions, countless coins experienced heavy handling, storage in jars, pockets, tills, and cash bags. While millions of ordinary coins entered circulation, only a tiny number developed the unusual appearance that collectors later became obsessed with. Most people miss this. What appears to be an insignificant visual feature can become the very thing that separates an ordinary coin from one that attracts serious collector attention. Now take a close look at the front of the coin. The obverse features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, a design familiar to Australians for decades. Around the portrait are inscriptions identifying the monarch and Australia itself. To the average person, it is simply another coin showing the Queen. But experienced collectors do not see it that way. They study every letter, every curve, every tiny detail around the portrait. They examine how the surface has aged. They inspect the color. They analyze the texture. They look for originality. The moment they find a coin that has survived naturally without being altered, their interest increases dramatically. This detail changes everything because originality is becoming harder and harder to find with every passing year. Turn the coin over, and the iconic echidna appears on the reverse. This beloved Australian animal has been featured on the 5-cent coin for generations. The design includes remarkable detail considering the coin's small size. The echidna's spines, body texture, and surrounding lettering all contribute to its unique appearance. The denomination 5 and the word cents stand proudly above the animal. Yet on rare examples showing distinctive black spotting, the entire visual character of the coin changes. Instead of appearing bright and uniform, the surface develops an aged personality that catches the eye of specialists. Some collectors spend years searching through rolls and collections, hoping to find an example that displays the right combination of originality, natural aging, and visual appeal. What makes this even more fascinating is the metal composition itself. The Australian 5-cent coin is struck from copper nickel, a durable alloy chosen to survive years of circulation. The The mixture provides strength, resistance to wear, and a distinctive appearance. However, metal does not remain unchanged forever. Environmental conditions, handling, storage methods, moisture exposure, and circulation patterns can all influence how a coin ages. In certain cases, black spotting develops across the surface. While many people assume this reduces desirability, knowledgeable collectors understand that naturally developed surfaces can tell a story. They reveal a coin's journey through time. Original surfaces often carry more collector respect than artificially cleaned or altered examples. Holding the coin in your hand reveals just how small this hidden treasure really is. It weighs approximately 2.83 grams. Its diameter measures around 19.41 millimeters. The thickness is roughly 1.30 millimeters. Its girth is small enough to disappear easily into a pocket or coin jar. Yet despite its modest size, this tiny piece of metal has generated enormous curiosity among collectors. That contrast fascinates people. Something so small should not be capable of attracting such attention. Yet here we are, talking about a coin many Australians spend without even looking at. That is exactly why hidden wealth remains hidden. People expect treasure to look valuable. They never expect it to resemble ordinary change. Another reason collectors pay attention to these coins involves production pressure. During large minting operations, dies experience stress and gradual wear. Every strike contributes to microscopic changes over time. While the 2008 5-cent coin was produced for circulation, collectors understand that no two coins age exactly the same way. Some remain bright, others darken. Some develop natural toning. Others acquire distinctive spotting patterns. These differences create individuality. In a hobby where millions of identical coins exist, individuality becomes extremely important. Collectors often become obsessed with subtle distinctions that ordinary people never notice. That obsession fuels competition, and competition fuels demand. One of the biggest mistakes people make is cleaning their coins. If you discover a 2008 Australian 5-cent coin with unusual black spotting, never clean the coin. Never polish it. Never scrub it. Never use chemicals. Never attempt to improve its appearance. Many beginners think they are helping the coin, but in reality, they are destroying the very originality collectors value. Once the original surface is removed, it can never truly be restored. The damage is permanent. A cleaned coin loses part of its story. Professional collectors recognize cleaning immediately, and their interest often drops dramatically. Original toning matters. Original surfaces matter. Patina matters. This is one of the most important lessons any collector can learn. What makes survival especially difficult is that these coins were created to be spent, not preserved. They passed through countless hands. They bounced around cash registers. They sat in vending machines. They were dropped onto counters, sidewalks, and floors. Many were scratched, damaged, bent, or discarded. Others were removed from circulation by people who recognized something unusual about them. Every year, fewer attractive examples remain available. Demand continues rising while supply quietly shrinks. That imbalance creates pressure in the market. It is simple mathematics. When more collectors chase fewer desirable examples, competition intensifies. Auction behavior surrounding unusual coins can be surprisingly emotional. People imagine collectors calmly placing bids, but reality often looks very different. Some bidders wait silently until the final moments. Others become aggressive the instant they see a coin they need. Rival collectors monitor each other. Prices climb. Tension builds. Nobody wants to lose the coin they have been searching for. This is especially true when originality, eye appeal, and scarcity combine in a single piece. What starts as a small coin can quickly become the focus of intense competition. Hidden wealth has a strange effect on people. Once they recognize its significance, they do not want to let it go. The black spotting itself has become a source of fascination. Not all spotting is equal. Collectors examine placement, intensity, pattern, and overall appearance. Some examples display subtle dark areas. Others show dramatic contrast across the surface. The most desirable pieces often possess strong, visual character while retaining their originality. These are the coins that attract attention when shown at collector gatherings or auction previews. Most people miss this because they focus only on perfection. Experienced collectors often focus on authenticity. Authentic aging tells a story that cannot be manufactured. Today, examples of the Australia 5-cent 2008 black spots coin in fine condition have reached around $8,000 in auction market discussions under the right circumstances. Think about that for a moment. A coin most people would overlook can represent serious money. That is not pocket change. That is hidden wealth. That is silent fortune. That is the type of discovery that can completely change how someone views their coin collection. Imagine finding one in an old jar that has been sitting untouched for years. Imagine realizing you nearly spent it on a coffee. These stories happen more often than people think. If you find one, the first thing to check is originality. Study the surfaces carefully. Look at the spotting. Examine the details on the Queen's portrait and the echidna. Check whether the coin has been cleaned. Avoid touching the surfaces unnecessarily. Store it safely. Most importantly, seek professional grading. Professional grading is critical because authentication, condition assessment, and market confidence all play major roles in determining collector interest. A properly evaluated coin stands a much better chance of attracting serious attention from buyers and collectors. Patience also creates wealth in this hobby. Too many people rush to sell the moment they hear a coin might be valuable. Experienced collectors understand that demand changes over time. As more examples disappear into permanent collections, remaining pieces can become even harder to acquire. Some collectors are holding tightly rather than selling. They believe the future may bring even stronger competition. Whether that happens or not, one thing is certain. Coins with strong collector appeal rarely remain ignored forever. And if you think this discovery is shocking, do not go anywhere. The next coin is even rarer, even more mysterious, and far more dangerous to ignore. What comes next has left seasoned collectors speechless, and the story behind it could be bigger than anything you've heard so far. Next up, coin number 2. You look at this little 1980 Australian 5-cent coin and think it has had a rough life. Maybe it has strange green spots. Maybe the surface has turned yellow with age. Maybe it has been sitting in an old jar, a toolbox, or the bottom of someone's drawer for decades. Most people would spend it without a second thought. But experienced collectors never rush to judge an old coin by its appearance alone. Sometimes what looks worn, forgotten, or unusual deserves a much closer inspection. Before you throw it into your wallet or spend it at the shops, stop and examine it carefully. This is not fiction. The smallest details can completely change the story of a coin, and what you're about to discover might surprise you. The year 1980 was an interesting time in Australia. Inflation was affecting households, interest rates were becoming a bigger concern, and everyday Australians were relying heavily on coins for daily transactions. Millions of small denomination coins passed from one hand to another every single day. Because of this heavy circulation, very few examples survived in attractive original condition. The 5-cent coin from this period became part of ordinary life, which is exactly why collectors pay close attention whenever an older example appears with unusual characteristics or exceptionally well-preserved surfaces. Most people miss this because they assume every old coin is exactly the same. The Australian 5-cent coin carries one of the country's most recognized wildlife designs. On the reverse sits the beautiful echidna, designed by Stuart Devlin, surrounded by the words Australia and the denomination 5 cents. Every tiny spine, every texture, and every raised detail matters to serious collectors because these features reveal how much circulation the coin has experienced. Turn the coin over, and you'll find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II with the surrounding inscriptions identifying her title. Collectors study the lettering, rim, portrait detail, and strike quality under magnification because even slight differences in wear can influence desirability. Although this coin feels small in your hand, its official specifications are surprisingly precise. It is struck from cupro-nickel, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs approximately 2.83 grams, measures 19.41 millimeters across, has a thickness of around 1.30 millimeters, and a circumference, sometimes casually called the girth, of roughly 61 millimeters. Those measurements help professional graders confirm authenticity because genuine coins stay remarkably consistent. Even tiny changes caused by damage or excessive wear become important during examination. Now let's talk about those green spots and the old yellow appearance, because this is where many people become confused. Green spots on a cupro-nickel coin can develop over many years due to environmental exposure, storage conditions, moisture, or contaminants. Likewise, a yellow or golden-looking surface can sometimes be the result of natural toning, while in other cases, it may be caused by chemical reactions or improper cleaning. Collectors don't automatically assume these colors increase value. Instead, they carefully investigate whether the toning is original, stable, and attractive, or whether it signals corrosion or damage. That single difference changes everything. One of the biggest mistakes people make is reaching for metal polish or household cleaners the moment they notice discoloration. Never clean this coin. Cleaning permanently alters the original surface, removes microscopic flow lines created during striking, and often leaves hairline scratches that professional graders can detect immediately. Once those original surfaces disappear, they can never be restored. A naturally aged coin with honest toning is almost always preferred over one that has been polished until it shines unnaturally. Originality is something collectors treasure because it tells the genuine story of the coin's journey through time. Another detail that attracts experienced collectors is the quality of the strike. During periods of heavy production, minting equipment gradually wears down. Dies experience fatigue, tiny details soften, and some coins leave the presses with slightly weaker features than others. Specialists often compare the sharpness of the echidna's spines, the clarity of the lettering, the strength of the queen's portrait, and the definition around the rim. These subtle differences don't always create rarity by themselves, but they reveal how carefully a particular coin was manufactured. Condition is another enormous factor. A fine-grade coin has already seen years of circulation, yet many important design elements remain visible. Collectors inspect the highest points first because those areas wear away before anything else. They also check for scratches, dents, rim damage, corrosion, and environmental issues. Even if two coins were struck in the same year, one can be dramatically more desirable simply because it retains stronger detail or a more appealing original appearance. Patience during inspection often rewards collectors far more than quick assumptions. Auction rooms create an atmosphere that many people never witness. Experienced buyers quietly examine coins under bright lighting, compare grading reports, and sometimes compete fiercely for examples with exceptional eye appeal. Bidding usually isn't driven by age alone. Instead, it reflects rarity, originality, demand, certification, and overall desirability. That's why professional grading is critical before assuming any coin has significant value. An authenticated and accurately graded coin provides confidence for both buyers and sellers, making it far easier to understand its true place in the collector market. The market for Australian decimal coins has continued to attract interest as more people begin exploring coins found in change, inherited collections, and forgotten money jars. While ordinary circulated examples are generally common, outstanding examples with exceptional preservation, certified grades, or recognized collectible characteristics naturally attract greater attention. Demand for quality material has remained strong because many collectors would rather wait patiently for one excellent example than purchase several average ones. Supply of premium pieces becomes smaller every year as they disappear into long-term collections. If you happen to find a 1,980 Australian 5-cent coin with unusual color, don't immediately assume it is worthless, but don't assume it is extremely valuable either. Start by examining the date, the rim, the lettering, the echidna's detail, and the Queen's portrait under good lighting. Compare it with reliable references, avoid touching the surfaces unnecessarily, and store it in a protective holder. Never clean the coin, preserve any original toning, and if the piece appears genuinely unusual or exceptionally well preserved, seek professional grading before making any decisions. Those simple steps protect both the coin and any potential collector interest it may have in the future. Many people unknowingly spend older Australian coins every single week because they never stop to look closely. That's why experienced collectors constantly check pocket change, inherited collections, and forgotten jars. Sometimes the greatest excitement isn't finding instant wealth. It is discovering a genuine piece of Australian numismatic history that has quietly survived decades of everyday use. Most people miss this because they are always in a hurry, while collectors understand that patience creates opportunities. And don't go anywhere, because the next coin in this countdown is surrounded by even more mystery. At first glance, it looks just as ordinary, but one tiny feature has collectors searching through thousands of coins hoping to find it. What comes next is even rarer, even more surprising, and it's the coin that many Australians unknowingly spend without ever realizing why collectors desperately want to find one. Next up, coin number 3. You probably have a 2,000 Australian 5-cent coin somewhere right now. It might be sitting in your pocket, buried inside an old money jar, or mixed with hundreds of other coins that all look exactly the same. That is exactly why experienced collectors never ignore an older coin without taking a closer look. At first glance, it seems ordinary, but appearances can be deceptive. Before you spend it, slow down and inspect every detail. This is not fiction. Some coins become highly desirable because of their condition, rarity, or verified mint characteristics, and most people never even notice what collectors are looking for. The year 2000 was a memorable period in Australian history. The country was preparing for the Sydney Olympic Games. Confidence in the economy was high, and millions of Australians were using cash every day. Small denomination coins pass through countless hands: supermarkets, cafes, transport systems, and businesses. Because they circulated so heavily, many examples became worn, scratched, and damaged over time. That is why collectors today become excited whenever they discover a well-preserved example that still retains strong detail and original surfaces after decades of everyday use. Turn the coin over, and you'll immediately recognize one of Australia's most famous native animals. The reverse features the echidna, designed by Stuart Devlin, surrounded by the inscriptions Australia and 5 cents. Every spine on the echidna, every letter, and every raised detail is important because these features reveal how much wear the coin has experienced. Flip it over, and you'll find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II with the surrounding legends. Specialists carefully examine the portrait, lettering, rim, and strike because these details help determine the coin's overall quality and desirability. Although it looks like an ordinary little coin, its official specifications are remarkably precise. The Australian 5-cent coin is struck from cupro nickel, containing 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs approximately 2.83 grams, measures 19.41 millimeters in diameter, has a thickness of about 1.30 millimeters, and a circumference, sometimes referred to as the girth, of roughly 61 millimeters. These measurements are more important than many people realize because professional graders use them to help confirm authenticity and identify anything unusual. One reason collectors become fascinated with older decimal coins is the story hidden inside their surfaces. Every tiny mark represents years of circulation. Every scratch, contact mark, and softened design tells part of the journey. Yet sometimes a coin escapes heavy damage and survives with surprisingly attractive original surfaces. Those survivors naturally receive far more attention than coins that have been heavily worn or improperly stored. Patience is one of the greatest advantages a collector can have because the right coin often appears when nobody expects it. During production, the Royal Australian Mint maintained strict quality standards, but no large-scale minting process is completely identical. Dies gradually wear as thousands of coins are struck. Under magnification, experienced collectors study the sharpness of the echidna's spines, the clarity of the lettering, the strength of the Queen's portrait, and the crispness of the rim. These subtle details help reveal how well the coin was struck and how much detail remains after years in circulation. Most people overlook these features, yet collectors can spend hours comparing them. Another mistake many people make is believing that a shiny coin is automatically a better coin. In reality, original surfaces matter enormously. Never clean the coin. Household polish, abrasive cloths, or chemical cleaners permanently remove the delicate surface created when the coin left the mint. Once those original mint surfaces disappear, they cannot be restored. Professional graders detect cleaning almost immediately, and it often reduces collector appeal. Natural aging, honest circulation, and attractive original toning are usually preferred over an unnaturally polished appearance. Collectors also pay close attention to storage history. Coins that spent years protected inside albums, holders, or carefully stored collections generally survive in much stronger condition than coins that bounced around inside pockets and cash registers. Even tiny rim knocks, fingerprints, or environmental damage can influence desirability. That's why experienced collectors handle coins carefully by their edges and avoid touching the flat surfaces whenever possible. Protecting originality today can make a significant difference many years into the future. One fascinating aspect of the collector market is that demand often grows while the number of premium quality coins becomes smaller. Many outstanding examples disappear in term collections and rarely return to the market. When certified high-grade coins eventually appear at public auction, competition can become surprisingly intense because buyers know another comparable example may not appear for quite some time. This quiet competition is one reason exceptional coins continue attracting attention from serious collectors across Australia and around the world. If you discover a 2000 Australian 5-cent coin, don't assume it is automatically valuable simply because of its date. Instead, examine it carefully under good lighting. Look closely at the rim, the lettering, the echidna's detail, the Queen's portrait, and the overall condition. Compare it with trusted numismatic references, keep it in a protective holder, and resist the temptation to clean it. If you believe it has exceptional preservation or an unusual feature, professional grading is the safest way to understand exactly what you have before making any decisions. One lesson experienced collectors repeat again and again is simple: patience creates opportunities. The people who build remarkable collections rarely rush. They learn, compare, protect their coins, and wait for expert opinions. Most people unknowingly spend interesting older coins because they never stop to look. That is why checking your spare change, inherited collections, and forgotten jars can be both exciting and rewarding. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes the most ordinary-looking piece becomes the one everyone wishes they had examined more carefully. Don't leave yet, because the final coin in this countdown changes everything. It has sparked endless conversations among collectors, and one tiny detail is enough to make people search through piles of loose change for hours. What comes next is even more surprising, even more mysterious, and it's the coin that many Australians unknowingly pass across the counter without ever realizing why collectors keep chasing it.